So we're in the home of Russell today. Russell is a member of staff with South Central Ambulance Service. He was out enjoying a trip out with his family just before Christmas in 2018 and had reason to ring for an emergency ambulance attendance. So Russell, could you tell us a little bit about your family?
So my wife Rosie and I have been married for 5 years. We had trouble conceiving Lily. She is now 2.5 years old, going on about 13. And then we've got Jasper, he's 8.5 months now, and is as bright as a button.
Russell, can you tell me about your role with South Central Ambulance Service?
So I work as an ECA on the HCP line down at Nursling Resource Centre. I've been doing that for probably about 4 years now. Prior to that I was on frontline ambulances, but I changed my role to HCP because it fitted in with my college studies at the time, and I really enjoy doing that role now, so I've stuck with it.
How old was Jasper at the time of the incident?
Jasper was 7 weeks old at the time when the incident happened, so still quite a small baby.
Was it an uneventful trip up to this point?
Yeah, we'd just popped out for some drinks with some friends. It's kind of tradition with our friends to go out every year for what they call Christmas jumper drinks.
Can you tell me what happened?
So we were having a drink, and Rosie was feeding Jasper under a very loose top, and he wasn't really latching on very well, didn't feed too well, but Rosie thought he had gone to sleep, which he did quite often, so we just kind of left him. And then after a short period of time, Rosie pulled him out from underneath her top. He was blue and had frothy red blood coming out of his nose. She immediately noticed that something wasn't wrong, and handed him straight to me. I tried to give him a couple of rescue breaths but wasn't able to get anything into him, and then I stripped him off and tried to stimulate him, and couldn't get him to respond. He was completely unresponsive, and that's when Rosie at that time had called 999, was on the phone to them, and I'd started CPR, and because of the position we were in, it was quite tight. Some friends of mine had noticed that something wasn't right and had jumped over the fence, and another friend of mine was helping me wipe the blood away from his nose, and I ran into Sports Direct whilst Rosie was continuing to talk on the phone to the ambulance service, who were, I don't know what they were saying because I was quite involved with just concentrating on keeping Jasper alive at that point. And I ran into Sports Direct and put him onto almost like a padded seated area, and carried on with CPR until the crew came. The paramedic turned around to me once we were outside and said to me, "Do you want me to take him?" So I turned around and gave Jasper to the paramedic, and for some reason automatically just turned back round and took him back off her. Not that I didn't have any confidence in her at all. It was kind of, Jasper's my son, and I'm doing what I need to do to keep him alive, and I knew what I was doing was the right thing, and I wanted to be in control of that. So we then ran down the high street. I don't remember running down the high street. Police officers were in front of us, knocking people out of the way, and we ran onto the back of the ambulance, put him down onto the stretcher, and then we got the AD pads onto him. He had a heart rate, which was good, but just wasn't making any effort to breathe. So there was another paramedic on an RLV that came, and he sat down, and we got the BVM out and started to give him breaths through the BVM, and he started to make some respiratory effort. It was very distressed, but he was making some respiratory effort, which was great. We had stopped CPR at that point because of the results that we were getting from the Zoll, and then we got him to hospital, and I disconnected the pads from the Zoll and just ran into the hospital with him.
So you travelled in the ambulance with Jasper to
Yeah.
hospital, and he was admitted to hospital, was he?
Yeah, we were. So when we got him in to the hospital, he went straight to resus, and they intubated him, did CT scans, X-rays, and then we were admitted up to paediatric intensive care that night.
And was Jasper in hospital for a few days afterwards?
So we were on paediatric intensive care for 3 days. He got extubated on Christmas Day, and we were taken up to another ward on that day as well. And then we got discharged and sent home on the 27th of December.
Okay, thank you. And did you find out what had caused this episode for Jasper? Did you know?
We did find out. When our initial suspicions were that he had suffocated, when we got into the hospital, the consultants were quite adamant that it wasn't suffocation and it was a underlying condition, like a lung condition or heart condition that had happened. Maybe he'd had an epileptic fit, which is something that they checked for. But in the end, they did say to us it was suffocation due to him pressing onto Rosie's breasts. And then when he was suffocating, he was trying to continue breathing, and then he had bilateral pulmonary hemorrhage.
And how's Jasper doing now?
So Jasper's a normal 8.5-month-old little boy. He's not had any repercussions from the incident whatsoever, which we're very, very lucky about. But we're still under the care of the consultant. We'd like to thank the call handler for staying calm on the phone, especially dealing with the amount of confusion that was probably going on at the time, and just being able to give clear and concise information over the phone to the crew for responding so quickly and being able to give the treatment that they gave to Jasper, to making sure that he had a fighting chance of surviving. They were really calm, collected, they knew what they were doing, even though they knew who I was and what role I had within SCAS. They still stayed really professional, they didn't panic, and if it wasn't for them, Jasper probably wouldn't be here. So I'm really grateful that they were able to respond quickly, and also to get us to the hospital quickly as well, and give Jasper the treatment that he needed whilst we were en route to the hospital.